What if I told you that your body is storing stress at a cellular level, and that years of chronic stress have fundamentally altered how your cells function? That the stress you've been carrying isn't just in your mind, but encoded in your biology, affecting everything from your hormone production to your immune response to your ability to think clearly? Let me explain something that most people don't fully grasp. When you experience stress, your body releases a cascade of biological responses. This is completely normal and actually essential for survival. Your heartbeat increases, your muscles tense, blood sugar rises to provide quick energy, your focus sharpens. This is your body preparing to deal with a threat, and once the threat passes, everything should return to baseline. But here's what happens in our modern world. The threat doesn't pass. The deadline at work triggers the same response as a physical danger. The financial worry creates the same hormonal cascade as a predator. The relationship tension, the traffic jam, the constant notifications, they all activate that stress response system. And when that system stays activated for weeks, months, years, something profound happens at the cellular level. Today, we're going to explore what chronic stress does to your biology. Not the surface-level effects you can feel, not the temporary symptoms that come and go, but the deep, systemic, biomolecular changes that happen when your stress response system is chronically activated. And more importantly, we're going to understand what you can do to heal these changes, to reset your biology, to move from a state of chronic activation to one of true resilience. The first thing you need to understand is the difference between acute and chronic stress. Acute stress is temporary and purposeful. You encounter a threat, your stress response activates to help you manage it, the threat passes, and your system returns to baseline. This is healthy and essential. Your body is designed for this. Chronic stress is different. Chronic stress means your stress response system is activated most of the time. Your body is constantly in a state of preparation for threats that don't actually require a biological fight-or-flight response. This isn't healthy. This fundamentally changes how your body functions at the cellular level. Let me explain what's happening biomolecularly. When your brain perceives a threat, it activates what's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or HPA axis. Your hypothalamus releases corticotropin-releasing hormone, which signals your pituitary gland to release adrenocorticotropic hormone, which then signals your adrenal glands to produce cortisol. This is your stress hormone. Cortisol isn't bad in itself. It serves important functions in your body. It helps regulate blood sugar. It influences inflammation. It affects memory formation. It helps your body manage circadian rhythms. But here's the problem. When cortisol is elevated constantly due to chronic stress, it begins to create problems throughout your system. One of the most significant effects is on your cellular energy production. Inside each of your cells, there are tiny organelles called mitochondria. These are your cellular power plants. They produce ATP, the energy currency your cells need to function. Chronic stress, through elevated cortisol and other stress hormones, actually damages these mitochondria. The mitochondrial membranes become compromised. The enzymes that produce energy become less efficient. Your cells literally begin to lose their ability to produce energy. This isn't theoretical. Research has shown that chronic stress reduces mitochondrial function throughout your body. Your cells can't produce ATP as efficiently. You feel this as fatigue, brain fog, weakness, just generally not having the energy you used to have. But it's not just about feeling tired. When your cells can't produce energy efficiently, every system in your body suffers. Your brain cells, which are extremely energy demanding, become particularly affected. When neuronal mitochondria are damaged, your brain function declines. You might notice memory issues, difficulty concentrating, slower processing speed, mental fatigue. This isn't normal aging or just being busy. This is your brain cells literally not having enough energy to function optimally. Your immune cells are also affected. When your immune cells lack sufficient mitochondrial function, they can't respond effectively to threats. You become more susceptible to infections. Wounds heal slower. Your body has less capacity to fight off pathogens or clear away cellular debris. Chronic stress is literally compromising your immune function at the cellular level. Your muscle cells are affected. When muscle mitochondria are damaged, your muscles produce less ATP. You have less stamina. Recovery from exercise takes longer. You feel weaker. Your body composition can change because cellular metabolism becomes less efficient. Now, here's another critical biomolecular consequence. Chronic stress affects your DNA. Specifically, it affects telomeres. These are protective caps at the ends of your chromosomes. Think of them like the plastic tips on shoelaces that prevent fraying. Every time your cells divide, these telomeres shorten slightly. This is normal aging. But research has shown that chronic stress dramatically accelerates telomere shortening. People under chronic stress have significantly shorter telomeres than people managing stress well, even after controlling for other factors. Why does this matter? When telomeres get too short, cells can't divide anymore. They enter a state called senescence, which means they stop functioning but don't die. These senescent cells accumulate and create chronic inflammation. They contribute to aging, to disease, to the feeling that your body is declining faster than it should be. Additionally, chronic stress affects how your genes are expressed through epigenetic mechanisms. Your DNA has chemical tags that can turn genes on or off. Chronic stress creates epigenetic changes that can affect thousands of genes. Some genes that should be active become suppressed. Others that should be suppressed become overactive. This changes your cellular function, your hormone production, your neurotransmitter balance, your inflammation levels. Let me explain another profound consequence. Chronic stress affects what's called your autonomic nervous system. This is the system that controls your heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, respiration, all those automatic functions. It has two branches, the sympathetic system, which activates during stress, and the parasympathetic system, which promotes rest and recovery. In healthy function, these systems balance each other. During the day, you might have periods of sympathetic activation to handle challenges. During the night, your parasympathetic system dominates, allowing repair and restoration. But with chronic stress, your sympathetic system becomes dominant most of the time. Your parasympathetic system can't activate properly. This means you're constantly in a state of activation without adequate periods of recovery. This creates another cascade of problems. When your parasympathetic system can't activate, your digestive system doesn't function optimally. Blood flow to digestion is reduced because blood is redirected to muscles and brain for fight or flight. Digestive enzymes aren't produced as efficiently. Your gut motility slows. This is why stress so often correlates with digestive problems. Blood pressure stays elevated. Your heart has to work harder. Your vascular system is under constant stress. This contributes to cardiovascular disease risk over time. It's not just about occasional spikes in blood pressure. It's about sustained elevation that damages your cardiovascular system. Sleep quality declines. Your body can't achieve the deep restorative sleep it needs. Your cortisol production is disrupted. Your circadian rhythms become dysfunctional. This creates a vicious cycle where poor sleep increases stress, which disrupts sleep further, which increases stress more. Now let me explain something about traumatic stress. When you experience something that overwhelms your nervous system's ability to respond, it can change how your nervous system functions at a structural level. Research shows traumatic stress can reduce hippocampus size and increase amygdala size. Your nervous system can become hypervigilant, perceiving threats where there aren't any. People who've experienced trauma often have a dysregulated HPA axis, with cortisol production that's too high or too low, affecting mood, metabolism, and immune function. Now let me explain another critical biomolecular consequence that often gets overlooked. Chronic stress creates systemic inflammation throughout your body. This isn't the kind of inflammation you might associate with an injury. This is low-grade chronic inflammation that subtly affects every system. When your stress response stays chronically activated, inflammatory signaling molecules are constantly produced, creating a baseline of inflammation that affects your cardiovascular system, your brain, your joints, your digestive system. This accelerates cellular aging, damages blood vessels, contributes to insulin resistance, affects neurotransmitter production, and compromises gut barrier function. This inflammatory state creates a feedback loop, further damaging mitochondria, increasing oxidative stress, disrupting hormone production, and perpetuating the cycle. Additionally, chronic stress affects hormone production beyond cortisol. Your thyroid function becomes dysregulated, causing fatigue, weight issues, and brain fog. Reproductive hormones are suppressed, affecting cycles and fertility in women, testosterone and sperm quality in men. Growth hormone decreases, particularly during deep sleep stages, contributing to accelerated aging. Insulin sensitivity is compromised, causing unstable blood sugar and cravings. Additionally, we're living in a time with unprecedented environmental stressors that contribute to chronic nervous system activation. Electromagnetic frequencies from devices, blue light exposure disrupting circadian rhythms, digital information overload. All of these compound with life stressors. Your nervous system rarely gets adequate opportunities to shift into the rest and digest mode it needs for repair and recovery. Now, here's what I really want you to understand. These biomolecular changes from chronic stress aren't permanent. They can be healed. Your body has remarkable capacity for repair and recovery, but this requires intentional intervention. Your body won't automatically return to optimal function just because you want it to. You need to create the conditions that allow healing to happen. The first principle of healing is addressing the sources. Some stressors you can't eliminate immediately, but even within challenging circumstances, you can make choices that reduce your stress load. Not all stressors are equal. Some are acute situations you can handle and move on from. Others need systemic change. Some are external circumstances you can't control, but you can control how you relate to them. Let me share what the research shows about stress reduction. The most effective interventions address multiple levels simultaneously: the physiological, the psychological, the behavioral, and the environmental. At the physiological level, the first priority is improving sleep quality. When you get adequate restorative sleep, your HPA axis has a chance to recalibrate. Your cortisol production normalizes, your immune function improves, your mitochondrial function begins to recover. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's foundational to healing from chronic stress. Sleep hygiene matters enormously. Going to bed and waking at consistent times helps regulate your circadian rhythms. Creating a dark, cool, quiet sleeping environment supports quality sleep. The second physiological priority is movement. This might seem paradoxical. Exercise is a form of stress on your body. But when done appropriately, exercise actually helps your body learn how to respond to stress more effectively. It supports mitochondrial health. It improves cardiovascular function. It enhances neuroplasticity. It regulates your stress response system. The key is finding the right type and intensity for where you are right now. Start with gentle movement, walking, stretching, restorative yoga. As your capacity improves, you can gradually increase intensity. But the goal is movement that leaves you feeling better, not more depleted. Nutrition is the third physiological priority. When you're under chronic stress, your body has increased nutritional needs. Focus on nutrient-dense whole foods, adequate protein for neurotransmitter and hormone production, healthy fats, and plenty of vegetables. At the psychological level, the most important intervention is developing stress management skills. This includes cognitive restructuring to identify and change stress-producing thought patterns, mindfulness practices, and emotional regulation skills. Many people have developed patterns that amplify stress, catastrophizing, ruminating, all or nothing thinking. These are learned responses that can be unlearned. Cognitive behavioral approaches and mindfulness practices have been extensively researched and shown to be effective for managing chronic stress. The key is consistent practice. Like physical exercise, these are skills that develop over time with regular practice. Another crucial psychological intervention is addressing unresolved trauma. If you've experienced trauma even years ago, it might still be affecting your nervous system. You may need professional support to process and heal. Body-based approaches like somatic experiencing, EMDR, and yoga therapy can help release trauma responses. At the behavioral level, boundaries are crucial. Say no to things that don't serve you. Protect your time and energy. Create systems that support your well-being. Create practices that shift you into parasympathetic activation, breathwork, meditation, progressive muscle relaxation. These are essential for giving your nervous system the recovery periods it needs. At the environmental level, reduce exposure to stressful situations when possible. Change your physical environment to be more supportive. Adjust your schedule to allow for adequate recovery time. Now, let me explain something about the timeline of healing. When you begin addressing chronic stress, you might not notice immediate dramatic improvements. Your nervous system has been in this stressed state, potentially for years. It needs time to recalibrate, but you should notice gradual improvement over weeks and months. You might experience a period where you feel more fatigue as your body begins to recover and demands more restorative time. This is normal. Your body is finally getting the opportunity to repair. Don't fight this. Support it with rest, nutrition, gentle movement, and patience. You'll likely notice improvements in sleep quality first. As sleep improves, you'll have more energy during the day. As energy improves, you'll be able to engage more effectively with other healing practices. As you engage more effectively, you'll notice improvements in mood, mental clarity, immune function, and overall sense of well-being. The changes compound. Each improvement supports the next. Your mitochondria begin to function better. Your hormonal balance improves. Your nervous system recalibrates. Your immune function strengthens. Your cognitive function sharpens. Your sense of vitality returns. Now, let me address something important about support. Healing from chronic stress is rarely something you should do completely alone. Consider working with healthcare professionals who understand stress physiology. Functional medicine practitioners, stress management therapists, trauma-informed therapists, or other qualified practitioners. Additionally, community support matters. Connecting with others who are working on stress management, being in relationships where you feel supported rather than drained, having people you can be authentic with. All of these help your nervous system shift out of chronic activation into states of safety and connection. Let me bring this back to the big picture. Chronic stress has created biomolecular changes throughout your body. Your mitochondria are damaged. Your HPA axis is dysregulated. Your autonomic nervous system is imbalanced. Your telomeres are shortened. Your gene expression is altered. These are real changes at the cellular level, but these changes aren't permanent. Your body has the capacity to heal. When you provide the right conditions, adequate sleep, appropriate movement, proper nutrition, stress management skills, trauma healing when needed, boundaries, support, your body begins the work of repair. Mitochondria can regenerate. The HPA axis can recalibrate. The nervous system can find balance. Cellular function can improve. This isn't about going back to some state that existed before stress. That state might not have been optimal either. This is about moving forward toward a state of greater resilience. When you heal from chronic stress, you're not just returning to baseline. You're developing capacity, wisdom, tools, and biological resources that make you better able to handle future challenges without causing biomolecular damage. Let me also share something important about what genuine resilience looks like versus what many people mistake for managing stress well. There's a difference between appearing to function under chronic stress and actually being resilient. Some people develop the ability to push through extremely high stress levels while maintaining outward appearances. They can work long hours, handle multiple responsibilities, manage crises, all while seeming to function well. But this isn't necessarily resilience. This might be what researchers call allostatic load, which means your body is functioning, but at a very high cost. The stress is still present. The biomolecular damage is still occurring. You're just getting better at pushing through it. True resilience looks different. Truly resilient people still have stress in their lives. They face challenges. They encounter difficulties. But they have developed capacity to handle stressors without creating sustained biomolecular damage. Their stress response activates when needed, and then it actually turns off. Their nervous system can shift between activation and recovery. Their mitochondria remain healthy. Their hormones stay balanced. Their telomeres maintain appropriate length for their age. The key to developing genuine resilience is giving your system practice at both states, activation and recovery. Many people are skilled at activation, but terrible at recovery. They don't know how to turn off their stress response. Practices like meditation, breathwork, and mindfulness train your nervous system to shift into recovery mode. Over time, your nervous system learns it's safe to be in parasympathetic activation. Similarly, practices like progressive muscle relaxation and gentle yoga teach your body to recognize the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic activation. This is crucial because your body can't heal while in sympathetic dominance. Repairs happen during rest and digest activation. If your nervous system doesn't know how to shift into recovery mode, healing becomes nearly impossible. Understanding the biomolecular consequences is important. You're preventing cellular damage that will accumulate over years. You're protecting your mitochondria, preserving telomere length, maintaining hormonal balance. When you develop genuine resilience, you become more effective at handling challenges because your body has energy, can shift appropriately, and doesn't accumulate damage. So let me ask you this. What's one source of chronic stress in your life right now? Maybe it's something you can eliminate entirely. Maybe it's something you need to reframe your relationship with. Maybe it's something that requires systemic change. But what's one thing you could do this week to reduce your stress load, even slightly? Because here's what I want you to understand. Every reduction in chronic stress allows your body to begin repairs. Every night of adequate sleep supports mitochondrial recovery. Every moment of intentional relaxation helps your nervous system recalibrate. Every boundary you set protects your energy and capacity. Every nutritious meal supports your body's healing processes. The biomolecular consequences of chronic stress are real, but so is your capacity to heal from them. Your body is designed for health. When you provide the conditions it needs, remarkable recovery becomes possible. The science is clear. The path is mapped out. The question is, what will you do with this information? Healing from chronic stress isn't a one-time event. It's a journey of learning how to relate to stress differently, support your body's recovery processes, and create conditions where your biology can optimize. This is empowerment and responsibility for your own well-being. Your mitochondria can regenerate. Your nervous system can find balance. Your hormones can recalibrate. Your cells can heal. The research shows this is possible. The question is, what will you choose to support this healing? Important medical disclaimer. The information provided in this content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is based on scientific research, expert knowledge, and holistic health principles gathered from various sources. However, this information does not constitute medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, cannot replace professional medical consultation, should not be used as a substitute for qualified health care, may not be appropriate for your specific health condition. Critical requirements. Always consult with qualified healthcare professionals before making health decisions. Seek immediate medical attention for urgent health concerns. Discuss any health changes or new symptoms with your doctor, Ensure any supplements or lifestyle changes are appropriate for your individual situation. Consider your personal medical history, current medications, and health status. Limitation of liability. The authors and publishers of this content assume no responsibility for any adverse effects or consequences resulting from the use of any information, suggestions, or procedures described herein. Individual results may vary, and health outcomes depend on numerous factors beyond the scope of this content. Professional medical care. This content encourages and emphasizes the importance of maintaining regular contact with qualified healthcare providers for proper medical care, diagnosis, and treatment of any health conditions.